Good afternoon. My name is Geoffrey Edwards, and welcome to Futsal868 Corner Talks. I am your series moderator and president of the Futsal Association of Trinidad and Tobago. Futsal868 Corner Talks is an online meetup series where global sporting professionals share their experiences and perspectives on the fastest growing indoor sport in the world, futsal. Today, I smile proudly because it is our 50th episode. Exactly 53 weeks ago, 1 year and 1 week, Futsal868 Corner Talks had its first episode featuring Mr. Paul Deckel, assistant head coach of TNT Men's National Futsal Team, presently in Guatemala for the CONCACAF Futsal Championship. To date, we have had guests from every single continent, including Olympians, former mayors, sport administrators, professional athletes, businessmen and women, mental health workers, sports scientists, sports journalists, and the list goes on. We spoke to many topics about futsal and of social issues that drives our world today and their relation to sport. These included, and were really much emotionally charged, racial inequality and social justice, emotional intelligence, mental health, safeguarding children in sport, masculinity, toxicity, and gender-based violence. Which one of those do you remember? Which one touched you? Which one you learned a lot about? For me, as a host, I thank every single guest for what they have imparted unto us as a country, a nation, and an organization. Our start, dedication, resilience, and continuation is a testimony of God's grace and love. Without Jesus Christ, we would not have been here. And I want to say that loudly and proudly. Our supportive partners and family, a strong network, and most importantly, you, our viewers, for supporting us every single step of the way. And we dedicate this to you. Thank you very much. From Saudi Arabia to Brazil, to United States of America, to England, to Grenada, to the Philippines, and right back here to Trinidad and Tobago. We have been blessed to have viewers who supported us, and we say thank you very much. To celebrate this 50th milestone, we head to Germany, and it's actually because of our guest who has graced our shores that we connected to our fellow brother in futsal to discuss, and here he is to discuss futsal in Germany. Well, we welcome Christian Wölfelschneider, head coach at TSG 1846 Mainz Futsal, who is here to be able to discuss his experience in this wonderful sport that we both enjoy. Hi, Christian. Thank you for joining us.
Hi, Geoffrey. Thanks for the invitation. It's a great pleasure for me to be here, especially in the 50th episode. I think if I see all the guests you had before, like Shaka Hislop, Keith Tozer, you had, of course, our friend Ken McHugh, and all the topics you've touched. And now I'm here in the 50th episode. I think I'm honored to be here. Yeah, thank you very much for the invitation.
it's really a testimony of what technology and pivoting and resilience in this COVID-19 period has done. And the first time I met Ken in Leicester City, his warmth, his truth, his spirit emanates in everything that he does. And you, both of us being here, is a testimony of the work that he has done over the years. And we want to say thank you very much, Ken, for bringing us together and bringing the world closer together in terms of Trinidad and Tobago and Germany when it comes to futsal. More so, Germany has always been a very close friend to us because 2006, our historic moment on the sporting landscape, one of our historic moments in the sporting landscape was us making it to the World Cup in Germany, and it brought our country together. We hope that whatever ventures we have together, Christian, would also do such, bring us together. But enough about that. Let's speak to you. Who is Christian Wölfelschneider? And I hope that I got the name right after days of practicing. So who is Christian? Tell us about yourself, introduce yourself, everything about you, and also your journey in futsal, player, coach, and administrator.
Yeah, thanks. I try to explain something about me. Talking about myself, it's always not easy, but I try to do my best. Yeah, it's a long journey since now. I started in futsal in 2014, and who I am, who started in futsal, I think you have to know it's just like at the moment something you do or you did in your leisure time, but it's got enough time every week to have a job for it. So it's a long journey. And yeah, I work at the moment as a teacher in a school. So in the education system, I'm 31, still 31 years old, and yeah, have a small child, and liked to love the sports of futsal. And yeah, the journey, as I said already, started in 2014. That's when we started to play a small tournament with our club, and there first got to know futsal. Okay, what it's exactly, what's happening here. Normally in Germany we play inside, but you could touch the outside of the pitch as well. I miss the English term at the moment, so there was no restriction from the area you could play. So you could play almost everywhere, and it was something completely different. But I directly fell in love with it because for me as a keeper, I'm a goalkeeper. So the next revelation, the small goal was much more fitting than in football. Yeah, I'm just 172. If you imagine me in a football goal, it's maybe a little bit more difficult than imagining me in a futsal goal. So I started and I got more and more into the sport. I just learned how futsal is played, that it's an own culture, it's an own sport for itself. It's not football indoors, it's futsal. Yeah, football sala, futebol de salão in Portuguese. So of course it's indoor soccer, but it's something different, and it's a different tactic, a different technical aspect. And that's one issue I learned 2016 when I had the chance to play for the German futsal student national team in Brazil. And I think that was the moment where I finally switched from football to futsal, because I got to learn teams from Brazil. We played Russia, we played Thailand, we played Argentina in this tournament. And there where I get to know, okay, there's so many types of futsal, so many styles of play. And yeah, it's a sport on its own. And that's where my heart, fell in love with that sport. And yeah, from there we started to grow. We started to grow as a club. I started to grow as a player more and more. I started to grow as a coach. And yeah, I was happy to play for our regional selection 5 times in the German tournament. All the provincial selections play there in January normally. So 21 play against each other. And there I had to play 5 times. I was happy to be at sessions with the German futsal national team and be there and train with a world-class goalkeeper, coach and assistant coach of FC Barcelona futsal, Miguel Andres Moreno, a great person and great coach. And that was the first time where I get, for example, a real goalkeeper training session and where I really learned, okay, what do you have to look at? What is important in goal? And with my friends, then we started to develop our club in Germany. We started it in 2016. We played tournaments before. In 2016, we got more and more involved. We started to play in a league. And at the start in our region, there was no league. So we had to play in another region to play futsal regularly. And then we started to build an own league in our region so we could play closer to Mainz. And that's the story in short, because there would be so many more stories, more topics, because now it's 7 years ago and now we talk about the Bundesliga in Mainz, and it's a club of friends, of friendship, of development. And that's how we try to bring futsal in Mainz forward. When we started over here, nobody knew futsal in Mainz. And I think now it's a very common topic in our city. And that's, maybe I had a small part in this. Yeah.
I don't think it was a small part. I would think it was very much more than that. And thank you very much for that introduction. As we're going to take a quick break, very short break, and come back to you to be able to get more insight in terms of futsal in Germany, futsal in Mainz. How long has it been, the futsal German futsal Bundesliga, and more things futsal. So we'll be right back. This is episode 50 as we head to Germany. We'll be right back. So welcome back. We are here, episode 50 of Futsal868 Corner Talks with Christian Wölfelschneider from Germany. Yes, I got a thumbs up. Thank you very much, Christian. And before the break, he gave us an introduction in terms of himself being a teacher as well as a futsal goalkeeper. And I mean, guys, he's very much humble as regards to the things that he has done when it came to propelling the sport of futsal in his region. So, Christian, I want to go and delve more into that. Tell us what region of Germany is Mainz and your club a part of.
Yeah, so it's in geographical terms, we have 16 regions in Germany, and it's Rhineland-Palatine. So it's about 4 million people living here. So if you compare it to Trinidad, it's almost double or more than double. I think you have 1.4 million. Yeah, so we are just one region, but we have almost double of your size. So that's from the size of our region. And in futsal, speaking in futsal terms, we have like 5 regional divisions or regional leagues at the moment. And we are in the regional league of Southwest. And there's also a regional league in West, North, Northeast, East, and South. So these are the 5 regional leagues at the moment, and we are located in the regional league of Southwest, so speaking in futsal terms. Yeah.
And with that being said, how many clubs are in that region, and what is the ranking of your club in the region?
Yeah. So in our region, it's as I told earlier, it's very fresh. We started our regional league in 2019. Other regional leagues, they exist longer than us. So we were the last regional league in Germany to complete the 5 regional leagues, and now they are complete. And yeah, to speak about our position, yeah, I think at the moment we should be maybe the number 1 in our region in Southwest. But last year in our regional league, we only finished 2nd place. But if these years, I think if COVID wouldn't have stopped us, I think we would have good chances to be at 1st place. And we had to represent our region 2 times at the German nationals. So I think, yeah, in terms of futsal development and in terms of getting involved into futsal, our club had a big part to play in our region and was, yeah, mainly the main driver for the regional league, which got introduced in 2019.
So, as head coach, tell me what you did to be able to get your team to the standard of vying for top spot within the region, also the development of futsal in your jurisdiction. How did that go about for you as a head coach?
A very long journey, Geoffrey, because you have to imagine if as an outside perspective, if you think about Germany, you think, oh, Germany is a professional country. They are well organized, but futsal was a new sport here. We didn't start like futsal had, this main, what did I call, like, the main support in Germany. We just had to get support. For example, when we started in Mainz, we just needed to get training sessions. Yeah, we started with no training session in 2014. Then we had 1 training session at Saturday from 9 to 11 a.m. So in the morning. And that was our starting point. Yeah, I had sometimes 4 or 5 players at 1 training session, like 6 years ago. And then we got with our success, and of course in the start we stumbled and we didn't have success directly from the start, but then we developed and we got more and more players. We were in our district, we won the championship 5 times. In our region, we won it 3 times. So then we started to grow as a club. We got more training sessions, and I think when we won with many of our players the National Student Championship in 2019, this was a breakthrough in Mainz, because then we got noticed more and more. We got more training sessions. And yeah, for me as a head coach, this was the moment where I could coach players. We need to progress, and I need players in training. Because if I want to develop a player, I need to work with him 4 times a week at least. Yeah. And we still have some struggles like with football and futsal. Some players, they play football as well, and then maybe you just had them 1 or 2 times a week in the training session. Then of course it's difficult to get all your philosophy into training, because you have to look, okay, did he have a football session before? Which games does he have at the weekend? And yeah, if I look at my own philosophy, how it developed as a coach, I have much to thank for the FIFA futsal coaching course I had in 2016 or 17, when I had to be there with Jose Maria Pazos Mendes, and he was a great instructor, and I learned many things from him. And after that, I just get all my knowledge, as an autodidact, and looked videos and had some online sessions with Micio Matic, the Finland futsal national coach at the moment, and to grow as a coach as well. And if you be a better coach, you have better players in the end.
I really appreciate the fact that you spoke to your qualifications. What other qualifications do you have, Christian, as well as your technical team, to be able to propel your club to do better within the German Bundesliga?
Yeah, at the moment, my personal qualification, I have the football UEFA A license, so in football, and I still had in futsal the FIFA futsal course. This was 1 week. We had like an instructor. My instructor was Jose Maria Pasos Mendez. As I mentioned earlier, he's now national coach of Thailand. He was national coach of Uzbekistan before and coached in the first Spanish division. So top class coach, top philosophy. Was fantastic to learn from him. And and at the moment, the UEFA B license should start last year in Germany, but of course, because of COVID, it had to be postponed. And normally we should have a UEFA B license right now, but we don't have. And that would be the qualification, for example, of my assistant coach to have the UEFA B license. He's registered for the course, but he can't do it at the moment because we all know why. And that's our qualifications. And I did, for example, in football before many goalkeeper courses. So I started in football as a goalkeeper coach. And then at some point it got me like, why just train one guy when you can train the whole team? So that's when I started to do all the licenses. So in Germany, we have C license, B license, and then you just can do the A license. And that's my path. And then it led me to futsal. So I think I have a good portfolio to combine futsal knowledge, but football knowledge. So it's the second highest license in football at the moment in Germany. We only have the professional license. So I could train in football until the fourth division, for example. If you are in third division, second and first, you have to be a professional coach. That's like a course about 1 year it takes normally. So and in goalkeeper, I'm of course personally attracted about goalkeeper play. So I think it's a good combination. And as I studied sports, and I didn't mention that earlier, I studied sports and politics. That's my subjects as teacher. So with studying sports, of course, I have knowledge about physics and physiology, and how training works, like what you do in training, about endurance and all the topics you need there. So
I mean, I was just about to ask you that. That's brilliant because what do you incorporate in terms of sports science to your training program? What are your methodologies, as well as what are your coaching philosophy when it comes to your club?
Yeah, it's a good question. As I said earlier, my philosophy is not something we could play in the past because I didn't have the players that much in training. I hope you can understand that a little bit, because for my philosophy, if I want to play this philosophy in optima, so like then I need to have players which train like 4 or 5 times a week. So that was always difficult for me as a coach because I had some ideas, but I had to know that I only have some players, which still play football, and 50% players, they only play futsal, and 50% they played football and futsal. And that's where I'm so curious about, because now if we go to the Bundesliga, I hope we do, then I have only players which only play futsal. So I have 100% players which play futsal. And then I think I can introduce my philosophy more and more. And it's it's about dynamic futsal, and it's about like be able to, I would call it like be able to switch every time. Because in futsal, if play gets static, if it gets, if you call mathematics, if you can notice what your opponent is doing, then you can react easily. But in futsal, I think in your style of play, you have to switch between systems. If you see all top teams, they can switch between 1-4-0 or 1-1-2-1. yeah, that's no problem for them. And that's how you need to play, in my opinion. And yeah, if we go to detail, we wouldn't stop today. But just to answer your question about sports science, that's one topic which is important to me. I always look for recent scientific data, for example, if you do diagnostics about stamina, endurance, which tests are fitting for futsal? Because of course you can do a test, for example, the one example, Illinois agility test, and you have to look at this test and have the knowledge to guess, is it good for futsal or not? Does it help my players? And I think too often, for example, in school, we do the Cooper test. Maybe you know it as well. Maybe you do it in schools in Trinidad as well. But yeah, it's, in my opinion, it's not a fitting test for school because it needs some requirements pupils don't have. And that's the same if you look at tests for futsal, or if you need some parts for training sessions. You can't look at football and say, oh, that's a good exercise in football, I do it in futsal, because futsal has many different requirements. So you need to think all the time. The ball, you have to play offensive, defensive. In football, if you are a defender, you play 80% defensive and maybe 20% offensive. Yeah, of course, you have to build up and all this. But in futsal, you need to be, you have to play both. And that's how you need to rethink every exercise. So I don't like to take, oh, this is a good exercise, I take this. No, I rethink every exercise and reflect it. What's good? What's bad? Did it work for my players? What do I have to adapt, to adjust? What do I have to do new? And always the best teacher for training is the game. So what's happening in game? And if you look at the game, then you can see which exercise could fit. But that needs, for example, much reflection and many thinking, because you just can say, I take this, Micho Macic has a good exercise, I take this. Of course I can take this, but I have to adapt and I have to look what's working for my club, for my players. And that's the most important, I think, as a coach, to be your own coach and to be a good symbiosis between the player and the coach philosophy. That's what it's most important, in my opinion. Sorry when I'm talking too long.
No,
Geoffrey.
most definitely. I'm loving this because you really bring together new age sport thinking to a fast evolving sport such as futsal, and that is brilliant. It's important for our viewers to be able to understand the amount of disciplines that goes into the product that is futsal on the court of play. So I'm very much happy to your explanation. Of the six regions, how would you stack them? Of the five regions, how would you stack them? How would your region stack amongst the others? Are you first? Are you second? What is your number?
You want to know numbers? I'll tell you. No, I have to be honest. At the moment, as I said, we are the youngest regional league. So we are, at position 5 of 5 at the moment. I have to be honest, because it's still in our region, futsal is still developing. Yeah, but in other regions, for example, in the regional league West, they exist since the regional league since, or I have to lie, 2008 or 9. So you see, it's a big time span. Yeah, and at the moment, in my opinion, the strongest regional league is the regional league of South. There are many good clubs. They have semi-professional structures, and they're still inside of Germany. That's maybe important, and we will talk about that later, to notice there are huge differences. So we still have some club, they play completely amateur. So the players don't get money, the coaches don't get money, so it's still like a leisure sport, but it's top division. And we have clubs like in Stuttgart, Weilimdorf, or Hamburg, Hohenstein-Ernsthal. They are the recent champions. Like, yeah, they have players. They earn some money in futsal. Yeah, it's not that less. And yeah, they have coaches from Croatia, from Serbia, from Russia. So that's something different, but you still have this difference inside of Germany. And that's a very interesting aspect if you look at the soon coming Bundesliga, because, yeah, you have clubs, they are almost going into professionalism, and you still have semi-professional clubs, which maybe go more, yeah, thanks for the picture, to, yeah, they are still amateurs. So that's what you have to notice too. So we don't have full-time professionals in futsal in Germany. We still have everyone, or at least maybe at the top clubs, you have players, they only play futsal, but at other clubs, for example, at our team, every player is working, so, or is studying. Yeah, so that's what you have to notice if you look at futsal from an outside perspective, because many I work with some friends at a project. It's called Mr. Futsal. It's the biggest podcast in Germany, and has Facebook, Instagram, and a friend of mine, Daniel Weimar, I want to greet him here, and Sebastian Rauch. They develop this project more and more, and every week they have a podcast, for example. So they try to do it as well as you do in Germany. And yeah, if you look at these numbers, then you see that it's still, yeah, we are still number 5. Yeah, but I hope with us representing our region in the Bundesliga, we can show that we are not only a small club, but we can compete with the best in Germany. And that's our ambition we have. Yeah.
What is the relation between German football clubs? I heard you mention Stuttgart and others. 2, futsal clubs. That's 1. And 2, German football clubs, in terms of the business model, has always been 50 plus 1, the 50 plus 1 rule, which gives fans some level of ownership to clubs. Is that something that the German Futsal Bundesliga is going to adopt as well in terms of their rule? And tell us a little more as regards to the licensing process that occurs for a futsal club for the German Futsal Bundesliga.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I try to tackle, I said tackle, a mixture of try and tackle. I try to tackle these topics. If I forgot something, please just raise your finger, and I try to tackle this issue as well. First, the involvement. We have some football clubs like Fortuna Düsseldorf, Hamburg SV, Wuppertal, we have St. Pauli. They are professional football clubs, and they have a futsal segment. So as one part of their whole club. So they are doing futsal as one part, but we are still missing like big clubs like Bayern Munich, Borussia Dortmund, or what's another big club? Yeah, let's get to, or Leipzig. Yeah, these 3 clubs, they don't have futsal in their program, but some, yeah, they got attracted to it and they do it as well. And of course, yeah, it has some advantages, some disadvantages. It's a huge topic as well, but of course, for maybe develop professionalism, for, yeah, marketing aspects, it's not that bad, of course, because if you play Bundesliga like St. Pauli or Hamburger SV, it's something different, of course, than a small club, which you still have to build your brand and others to get to know you. So that's one part. But I think that football club, like in Spain, in Brazil, they still could, or they need to adopt futsal more in their developing program, in the national developing program of the futsal clubs. So in their academies, because you see the success England had to adopt futsal in their. Max Kilman is one example. He's a Premier League player now. And in other countries, Brazil, Spain, if you look at the last 15 football top players, world players of the year, I think 12, they played futsal in a young age. So I think football clubs, especially football gets faster, they should adopt to futsal. For me, it's necessary if you try to develop. And yeah, to attack the other topic, just give me the question again, Geoffrey. I just missed it. I told you earlier.
As I asked the question as regards to the 50+1 rule.
Yeah.
Can you give me will that rule be implemented in the German Futsal Bundesliga? And walk us through the process as regards to licensing for futsal clubs in Germany.
Thank you. As it's still the DFB, so it's the German abbreviation for German Football Association, DFB, Deutscher Fußballbund. Of course, you have to adopt the 50+1. There's no exception for futsal, so that's very clear. But of course, it's interesting because if in futsal you have founders of a club and they are sponsors as well. And I think because futsal is relatively new, that's something which doesn't exist in football. Yeah, because in football clubs, they are maybe 100 years old. And in futsal, you have clubs, the oldest club is 15 years, 20 years maybe in futsal. So you still have this connection. But of course, officially, it's the 50+1 rule. And to say some words to the licensing process, which all the clubs are in, I think about 21 or 22 had their application to play Bundesliga. Only 10 can do. And the DFB at the moment will monitor the applications and they have a look at it. And you had to register everything until the 4th of April, so 1 month ago. And now all the clubs are waiting, for example, if they have to change something or they have to improve something which the DFB says, like, for example, if they say okay, you don't have a goalkeeper coach right now, you need to have a goalkeeper coach. That's a very silly example, but I just want to say that now the DFB has a look at all the applications and they tell the clubs, okay, at this topic you have to improve, or here you have to maybe have better finances, you have to maybe you don't get the registration for the Bundesliga because your financial plan, your structure is not good enough. So the licensing process, this was a long way. Yeah, we the last 6 months we didn't do anything else, and yeah, it was like, as I said, we are all amateurs and at our club, so we have works, we have jobs. So we work, we have jobs, and that's what we did in our free time. And yeah, it was almost full time to do all the licensing stuff. And yeah, now we are looking forward to get the license for the Bundesliga and be able to play in September or October. So yeah, they had maybe the last point, they had 3 segments. So you have to do structural and organizational topics, like, for example, the coach and physiotherapy, and to have, of course, a good gym. At least the gym needs to have about 201 seats, and it should be able for broadcasting. And yeah, the gym needs to be at least 8 meters high, and all this stuff. Then, of course, you have some financial aspects. Yeah, you need to tackle. So you don't need to have a minimum budget, but you need to have a reasonable budget, of course. Yeah. So if you say yeah, for example, I pay my players 100,000 euro and I only have sponsors for 20,000, then maybe the DFB will say, that's not all right. Yeah, but as I said earlier, it's the first season, will be the first season, and the DFB tries to have a cooperation and a dialogue with the clubs that everyone can manage to play in the first year in the Bundesliga. Yeah.
That is very comprehensive, to say the least. Let's move our attention to on the field. And we were given some videos that we want to share with our viewers as regards to some of the action that takes place with your club. Let's take a quick look. So seeing that action, how does that make you feel, Christian? In terms of seeing that, while speaking to me, not having played in a while due to the pandemic, how does that make you feel as a coach?
Yeah, it makes me feel to see our development. As I said, our club all was about development, and yeah, of course, it makes me to want to improve the players, to get us better, because the first impression we got, that was our first game in the regional league in 2019. This fantastic goal of one of our players from an angle where normally you couldn't score, but he did. And yeah, that just brings back memories, and as you see, I'm prone to playing flying goalkeeper. Yeah, that's some say I'm a little bit crazy, but yeah, I like to look at, for example, Higita from Kazakhstan, and which is a fantastic flying goalkeeper. And yeah, that's some weapon we got, because we don't need to switch with a player. I can play a flying goalkeeper, so that's a big advantage at games, because you don't need to have that switch. And yeah, the third and last video impression, that was against Weilendorf. They were champions 2 years ago of the German Bundesliga, and we played against them last year in September for the preparation of this season. And yeah, there you could see they had an attacking pressure, so they did pressing almost all the game. And yeah, my players, for the first time in this game, they managed to find different and very good solutions. So of course, there we had 3 panas. So I showed you this video. We have many bad examples as well, but you asked me for good examples. And yeah, but you saw one of our biggest weaknesses, scoring goals. So we did everything fine, a nice play. We started to get out of pressure, and with some, of course, risky actions, but then you are in front of goal. And that's where I directly normally would start now. So like, how can we get better in scoring in this pressure situation? So, and how can we manage to get out of pressure, and how can we close the gap to clubs as Weilendorf, as Hohenstein, as Hamburg, and to get an opponent for them where they maybe get they say, okay, we need to go to Mainz. Maybe we will lose today. So yeah, and that's where I say our team wants to be in the Bundesliga. Of course, we look for relegation. We don't be at the top 3, 4, 5. But I want to get my team a philosophy and my players where they understand futsal. They are no robots, so they have to understand which action I'm doing at which moment. And then I'm always able to find solutions in game. And that's what I want my players to be, and to really have a playing style where we can we can anger every club in Germany, even the ones which have like almost professional structures. So that's what I want to start now.
I totally hear you and agree with that. And we're just going to put up some pictures. For those who don't know, I mean, he sounds very calm and quiet, but on the futsal court, he's a monster. This guy called Christian. Let's take some pictures as regards to seeing him in action. And Christian, as we show the pictures, tell us what was going through your mind when you were called to action, when you were called to make these saves.
Yeah, what am I thinking? Nothing, to save the ball.
and this one.
Yeah, so yeah, there you see my playing style maybe a little bit. I'm not that goalkeeper who stays on the line. I try to get the balls like maybe to play a little bit more offensive, because now here, if the player gets the ball, then he has a one-on-one. But if I get the ball before, it's maybe a kick in, but it's not a one-on-one. Yeah, and if you do the next picture, maybe I'm sure which one it will be. Okay, now it's this one. Okay, I thought maybe it's the next save. But the first one and another one, you can see typical futsal techniques. And that's, for example, for me as a goalkeeper, yeah, this one here, it's to get on, because here I had to close the gap to the player in a very short time. And you see that some Spanish or Brazilian keepers, they do that to get on both knees and slide close to the opponent to just, as you see, the ball only can hit me. Yeah, it just can't get. I have to close the other leg as well, of course, as my right one. And then you just can close this gap to the player. So for me, if I see these pictures, it's more like I see now I am a futsal goalkeeper, and I don't have this stickness to football goalkeeping anymore. I play as a futsal goalkeeper, and that is for me personally very important when I see these pictures.
I appreciate that totally. As we move on to more of a team effort.
Yeah, this was our participation in the last German futsal championship. We qualified, as I said, as second position in our regional league. And yeah, this was the tournament in Duisburg. It was normally it's a playoff system, but because of COVID in this year, it was like a central tournament. And yeah, we played a big match against Jan Regensburg. They were second placed in the end, so they got to the final. Yeah, and we had them 26 minutes. We played 0-0, and we had chances to score, but as I already said earlier, we didn't manage to score. And then Regensburg, they had more experience, and so we lost in the end, but our players did a great job there. Yeah, same. One of our players, yeah, there you can see in the back, like the clubs on 4 of 10, which were participating in Duisburg in this tournament. And yeah, look for the ball.
Definitely look for the ball. Christian, thank you very much for that. We're going to do another quick break. When we return, we're going to discuss your recommendations for the growth of futsal in Germany, UEFA, as well to us in the Caribbean. You're watching Futsal868, episode 50. But more so, this Sunday represents the beginning of the CONCACAF Futsal Championship, which will be held from the 3rd tomorrow until the 9th. And of course, Trinidad and Tobago will be participating. Our first game will be against Dominican Republic. Where can you watch it? Take a look. So our first game, Trinidad and Tobago versus Dominican Republic, my apologies, on Tuesday the 4th at 11 p.m. TNT time. Watch it live on Flow Sport and all games on Flow Sport, the app. Note very well that we have to support our boys as they go on to a historic moment. And if it is you want to know who the team is, take a look. Lastly, do you want to know where they play? We got an inside view as to the venue at where our boys, the playground, the battleground, the battlefield, Domo in Guatemala City, Guatemala. Take a look.
Walking down the tunnel to enter the, what's the name of this? Domo. To enter the Domo in Guatemala, where we will play our first game on Tuesday versus the Dominican Republic.
So we will use first this side of the chairs.
Okay.
So you can start.
There you have it. The schedule, the players, the venue. All we need is you as the sixth man to be able to support our team. Remember, our first game is against Dominican Republic on Tuesday, the 4th of May, 11 p.m. And guys, there's nothing else to do. We're in lockdown. So please support our team. Go Warriors. I'm going to say thank you very much to our media team, the Futsal868 media team, for doing wonderful work when it comes to our graphics. Kyron and company, great job as always, guys. It's always a pleasure. Christian, as we come to the close of the Futsal868 Corner Talks, episode 50, we want to go into the solutions recommendations segment. Futsal in UEFA. What is your general and specific perspective on UEFA's work for the growth of futsal in the Confederation, as well as the DFB's work in the growth of the sport in Germany?
Yeah, thanks for the question. I think you have to look at it at different perspectives, because the UEFA, I think, is doing very much for futsal, especially in the last years, because if you see, like, for example, now you had the World Cup. If you look at the World Cup qualification and you look at the FIFA futsal world ranking from Europe, yeah, you miss nations like Italy, Croatia, Azerbaijan. They are position 8, 9, and 12 of the world ranking. They don't play in the World Cup. So I think this maybe gives a small impression which level of futsal we have in Europe. And I think the UEFA is doing big venues and is doing a very good promotion for futsal. The media coverage gets better and better. So I think they are developing, and I think even the UEFA worked on the DFB to adopt futsal and to do more and more about futsal in Germany, because as I said earlier, we had this classic indoor soccer in Germany, and we still had to manage to adopt futsal as an official indoor soccer alternative. Yeah, like the FIFA and the UEFA wants to promote it. And that was very, very important. And now the DFB is, of course, they invest in futsal. As I said, they did the tournament with the regional, with the 21 regional federations and provincial federations, sorry, the expression. And yeah, they started to build up a national team since 2016 in Germany. So we're one of the last countries which needed a national team. Now we have one. And yeah, we start the Bundesliga now. We start under 19, how you call it, where players could train. So DFB centers for under 19 players. And so the DFB is doing many things about futsal by now, but we still need to develop maybe one example. If I look, because the nice video you showed about Guatemala and the venue, and by the way, I wish your team all the best for the qualification. I know 4 teams of 13 can qualify. You need to go to the semifinals, and yeah, Guatemala will be a big opponent, but I hope you can manage to go to semifinals. I wish the Warriors all the best for the first time. And yeah, back to Germany. As I said, when I look at this video of Guatemala, I remember directly the memories of 2016 when I played in Brazil in this big venue. We have 4,000 spectators when Germany played against Brazil. And there were some other players like from France, like from Kazakhstan, like Turgazulov from Kazakhstan, Gadea from Brazil. He played for Inter Movistar. Now they both played, Turgazulov and Gadea, for Kairat Almaty in the Champions League semi-final. So Abramovich from Russia. So there were big futsal players. And even for a small country at this time in futsal like France, they managed to go to European qualification by now. And I think there are some points in Germany we could have done better. But it's my personal perspective, because I'm very ambitious about futsal. And of course, I don't look football and futsal. I look for futsal. And if you have this only futsal perspective, of course, there's always something you could have done more. But we progress, and with the Bundesliga will be a big step forwards. But if you compare us to France, where 2016 at student level, you maybe had the same level. And now you have some French players playing in Access Paris with Ricardinho and Ortiz, some Spanish and Portuguese legends. And in Germany, we still lack these players, or the national team still needs to get better and improve in comparison to France. Then I think we still can do better. But the club, just maybe one figure, like in 2010-11 in the season, we had 106 teams in Germany. And now we have almost 200, 173. And even the clubs, they doubled almost, not really, but from 95 in 10 years to 150. These are figures from Mr. Futsal. They do research every year about the number of clubs. So you see it's developing, but in my opinion, we could develop faster.
I really appreciate those numbers and those stats, because as always, Futsal868 is data driven. So let's move on to the World Cup prediction side. You have 5 teams to choose from. Who are your top 5 teams for the 2021 FIFA World Cup, Futsal World Cup, to be held in Lithuania? Who are your top 5?
Of course, Trinidad, if they qualify. Yeah. No, to be honest, of course, always Brazil, of course, always 5-time champion. I think there's no way without Brazil. Then, of course, Spain. They switched the national coach. They have a new spirit. They have new players. So I think was a very important step for Spanish futsal, because they had some players, they played in the national team for many, many years. But in my opinion, they got too, as I told earlier, what you need in futsal, and the Spanish team, you knew sometimes what Spain wanted to play. Of course, we speak about top level futsal, but now they are just a little bit more unpredictable, or not predictable. Yeah, now I have the word. They were more predictable before. But Spain, of course, European top team and two-time world champion. Then I think Argentina, they want to defend their title. So I have 3. Yeah, I need 2 more. Of course, I love to see, they are no top team, but I love to play the Solomon Islands. That's my favorite team when it comes to a national team, when it comes to futsal, about the spirit and everything, by the way. But yeah, number 4, Iran. They beat Brazil the last World Cup. There was this impressive picture with Falcao raised in his last World Cup by the Iranian players. And that's, if I see all the topics you do with gender equality, racism, that's such a humble example what sport can do. So this is my number 4. So we have Brazil, Spain, Iran, and Argentina. And yeah, which team number 5? Maybe a team which could surprise. So I mention, yeah, let's say maybe Kazakhstan. Maybe this time with some Brazilian Kazakhstan players, maybe this time, and Higita, they will be a big surprise. So now you have 5 teams, Geoffrey.
Actually, you choose 6 because you had Brazil, Spain, Argentina, Solomon Islands, and Iran. So are you gonna remove Solomon Islands and put Kazakhstan?
Yeah, Solomon Islands. Solomon Islands was just my personal favorite. What if you see the development there? So they played in the World Cup and they didn't have a gym to train. Yeah, they don't have.
Correct.
So yeah, that's just my personal favorite story, the Solomon Islands.
Correct. So that's your 5, and I appreciate that 5 for you. Give us your 5 to 10 year outlook of futsal in Germany.
Yeah. So I said to you earlier, stop me if I get too.
No, you go ahead, brother. You go ahead.
Too driven away. Yeah. At first, I hope in 5 to 10 years, our national team is in the top 30. So we have to be the structures we have in Germany and the background we have in Germany. We need to improve our national team at the top 30, at least, in my opinion, in 5 to 10 years. Then the Bundesliga, we need to have teams which can qualify every year for the Champions League main round. That has to be or needs to be a goal, in my opinion. And yeah, of course, we need to get more and more professional in our structures, in our organization. Maybe in 5 to 10 years, we don't talk about amateurs or semi-professionals. We talk about professionals playing in Germany, like in Spain, in Portugal. And that's a third goal. And most important, in my opinion, we need to develop structures in youth futsal. So right now, as I told you, we still manage to get an under-19 center and to attract young people to play futsal. And that's, if we talk about all the 3 previous goals, we need to tackle the 4th one, to develop youth futsal, get better coaches, get coaches involved in futsal, and get young players involved in futsal, because we need a futsal culture in Germany. Like all these 5 teams I named, they have a futsal culture, a strong futsal culture, and we need that in Germany if we want to be better in the future. And I hope, we can manage to do this. And these are only 4 small big goals, but if I start to talk, I will get more and more ideas. So I finish at this point.
No, as always, want to say thank you very much. Before I even speak to what you mentioned, as we just want to recap on the screen, your Christian's FIFA 5, his predictions, He has 1 Brazil, 2 Spain, 3 Argentina, 4 Kazakhstan, 5 Iran. Very interesting to say, at least, noting that his 6th man was Solomon Islands. So I just want to make our viewers aware of that. But your 4 points, Christian, is very much indicative of what all nations need in order to grow the sport of futsal. And I am very much impressed with it in terms of how you were able to simplify it. Because again, it is what we all need to do to help grow this sport that we love dearly. And I want to say thank you very much for simplifying that thought and expression of it really and truly. Because my last question was suggestions for growth of futsal in the Caribbean and Trinidad and Tobago. But definitely you did that so well by any question that you answered before. So if I was to ask you really and truly, what would you like to see from the administrators to help grow the sport? Or if you have to give a wish list, if you were given all the money in the world, and you had a wish list of 5 things that you would do for futsal globally, what would it be? You had all the money in the world. You had a genie appeared and said, Christian, you have 5 futsal wishes. What would it be, Christian? I had to improvise.
So in the world or in Germany, what I would do in the world?
Well, that's interesting one. Let's go Germany and then the world. So let's hear you.
First of all, if I would have, which will never happen, all the money in the world, then I would try not to invest in futsal, but to help poor people, to starvation, and that I have to mention at this point. Yeah, these are much. Of course, we talk about futsal, but if you see how many children die every day because they don't have enough to eat or to drink, then that should be normally something where we put our money. And that's something we shouldn't forget, that if we talk now, we can do our sport, and we talk from a privileged position. And so that's just something I respect your question, and I will answer it, of course, and I know you think the same because you have the same mind. That's what I see when I see all the topics you are doing over in Trinidad and all the podcasts, all the stuff you're doing. It's fantastic, but that's what we have to keep in mind. Of course, we talk about sport, but in the world, we have still wars, conflicts, and yeah, that's important to remember this when we talk about all the money in the world. But now my wish list for futsal, a good question. I think we need first invest in youth, so in young people, young stakeholders, experts for futsal, so the sport can grow worldwide and to get venues to play. For example, in Germany, we have problems to get indoors because we have handball, basketball, volleyball, even badminton, and we need futsal venues, for example. And I think this is a problem in many, many countries. So there we need to improve the infrastructure. We need to improve coach education. We need to, for example, one of my visions would be to implement a program and make it clear how is the connection between football and futsal. How long do they work together? When do they split apart? For example, maybe every club in Germany, a professional club, they have to do a futsal program, and maybe like in Brazil. Yeah, so that would be a big invest to get young people to play and to get young people to understand futsal and to grow up with futsal. And then all the other stuff, of course, this needs time, but will improve as well. That would be in Germany in connection with building more infrastructure for playing futsal. Only futsal venues, for example, this would be the first 2 steps in Germany with money, in my opinion. And of course, education. You need to share knowledge. Only if you share knowledge, you can get better. And if you keep your knowledge by yourself, maybe you grow for some time, but if you don't get stronger opponents, you don't grow playing against stronger opponents. You always will stick to your level. And that's, for me, that's not sport. If you lose, you learn. And that's what you should always remember. And if we go the step now to World Futsal, I think this is the exact point. At the moment, we have some very strong nations, 5, my starting 5 I mentioned earlier. And only if they want to grow, they need stronger opponents. So this means, for example, in Europe, nations like France, like England, like Germany, or in CONCACAF, like Trinidad, like Guatemala, like the United States, they need to get stronger. So in World Cup, if Brazil plays in World Cup, every match they can lose. So they have opponents where they can lose, and they don't know. I don't want to be disrespectful, but if Brazil plays Solomon Islands, my personal favorites, but in the end they know normally they will win. And that's what you need to improve at international level. And there you can adapt some steps you have in Germany for the international level as well. And especially, I think you have the same problems, I call it problems now, or the same issues in Trinidad, where you need to get people to know futsal and maybe see it as a tool for football, but see it as a sport in its own right. And that's where I think you need a global strategy. Which part should football play for futsal and which part should futsal play for football? Because if you see interviews of top futsal international or club coaches, they all say like futsal has to be more more positive about its own. Like you have to be more self-promoting and more promote the sport as a sport in its own right. And I think when I talked to you earlier, like these are some problems you have in Trinidad as well, where football coaches ask, oh, futsal, what's this? What should I do with this? So why should my player play futsal? And this is where we need to develop a global strategy to close the gap between strong and weak nations and to get more and more teams and nations into futsal and to increase their level, to get coaching courses everywhere around the world and get venues to play. And that's my global futsal strategy. So if you have some position free in FIFA or UEFA, let me know.
Well, bro, I as well. I'm looking for the same thing in the sense of making sure that the guys hear us, but all we can do is be able to continue to promote the game as best as we can. Before we go, I would like to hear your closing remarks. And also, for those who want to know more about your club, we have it there. To find TSG 1846 Mainz Futsal on social media, they're on Instagram at _ TSG 1846. Sorry, that's at TSG 1846 _ futsal. And on their Facebook page, it will be at TSG 1846 futsal. So please do like, follow, and share their social media. They're doing great things, and we really want to support them in every way. So, Christian, do share with us your closing remarks and thoughts.
Big words now at the end. No, I think I divide it into 3 levels. First, a personal one, like for me, futsal became a great sport. I love it. Sometimes my wife wants to kill me for that, the time I spent with futsal, but I continue. And our club, we developed from playing with 5 players at Saturdays. Now we compete maybe soon in the Bundesliga, and that's something which is important in life. You have to develop, you have to get better, and you have to reflect your actions, and then you will improve. And sometimes you lose, but lose and will only get you better, and that I can do the sport with some of my best friends, and that we compete at the highest level. This is very important for myself, because it's not only about competing, it's about friendship. And also in other clubs, I have many persons, I have good connections. Now, as you see, we talk from Trinidad to Germany, so that's incredible. Yeah, and futsal is a sport. It's not a main sport in the world like football, but it's a developing sport, and it has so many attractions. And I think futsal should get its place in the world, because it is the combination of handball, basketball, and football, three sports many people love. And I think we need to go to the Olympics. If we go to the Olympics, we are now the second time at the Youth Olympics with futsal, but if we manage to get into the Olympics, this will open a big door for futsal worldwide. So yeah, that from a Trinidad German perspective to a global perspective as my last remarks. And I thank you being your guest, and that you took the time to talk to me. I'm just a small guy sitting here in Mainz and sharing my knowledge and my experiences with you. And I hope you manage to go to the semifinals with the Trinidad team. And as I said, from my personal experience, if you lose, it will only help you to get better.
Correct. Christian, it has been an utmost pleasure. It's our first time on the show, but it definitely will not be our last. We have a lot of work to do in terms of you coming to Trinidad and Tobago and us coming across to Germany. And definitely we welcome every single collaborative effort between Futsal868 and your organization. Thank you very much, and we wish you a great week ahead. It has been an utmost pleasure. So to you and your family, be safe and talk to you soon. Have a good one, brother.
Bye.
Bye-bye. So that was episode 50, where we made it to Germany. Meet Christian Wölfelschneider, a friend that was brought together from a common mentor to us both, Mr. Ken McCoo of Sport Against Racism Ireland. As we end, we want to remind you all that 50 episodes is no small feat. We are speaking about literally 53 weeks of consistent work by the team in the background, by friends and family. I cannot say thank you enough for everyone who critique our shows, my circle of trust, Melissa Valdez, Walashadi Valdez, who have supported me through thick and thin when it comes to being there for me. Angela Martin in Saudi Arabia, who always give me a prayer and really and truly stayed up with the hours ahead to be able to look at the show and say, you could tweak this, you could tweak that. And we have persons all around the world who have really and truly, friends and family who have really and truly been there for us. And I want to say thank you very much to each one of you all. And in one of our shows, when we spoke to mental health, we spoke about the 7 C's, the 7 C's of resilience. And given that Trinidad and Tobago is in another somewhat lockdown or new COVID-19 measures, resilience is very important. And we want to take the time to remind you of those 7 C's of resilience: competence, confidence, connection, character, contribution, coping, and control. We ask that you practice the 7 C's of resilience during this difficult time. We don't know when the end will be, because every day is a new challenge. But remember, with God, all things are possible. May He order your steps and direct your path. And know for sure that we'll get through this together. So once again, we wish everyone a great week ahead. And more importantly, stay tuned to Futsal868 on our social media, where we give coverage to the CONCACAF Futsal Championship and to all things when it comes to our boys in Guatemala City, Guatemala. We take you out with these two videos, remembering, have a great week ahead.
Nationality brighter.